First off, I know you do a lot. So you introduce yourself because I know you also work in mental health and all of that. And so first kind of tell me a little bit about what you do professionally and then a little bit set the tone of what your situation is.
Okay. Professionally, this is actually my first podcast as a licensed marriage and family therapist.
And weren't you, was my conference also the first time you spoke? Look at girl, I'm taking all your...
I know, you just be pulling me in and I appreciate you so much for it. But yes, that is my primary line of work right now. I'm also building on my Black family wellness and consulting business. So that actually is what led me to having a lot of these conversations around parenting, co-parenting, because I just have some weird extreme passion for family work, for couples work, for individual work. That's actually who I work with primarily. So those are my two main focuses as far as business right now. I do some content, not as consistent as I would like to be, but I do make content around these topics as well.
And tell us what's your situation as far as your situation at home, co-parenting? How long have you been a single parent for?
There are so many roles that I actually am, right? Because some people would beg to differ. Like, you aren't a single parent if the other parent is involved in any kind of way. I would say I've been an official single parent, meaning I carry all the brunt of the work, medical decisions, mental health decisions, educational decisions, anything like that. I've been doing that for about 3 years now. For me, when we're thinking about the grief that comes with sharing parenting time, there are moments where thoughts will come up for me about where the help is. And then that will ripple into, oh, his other parent is the help. Then that will ripple into, damn, I'm really doing this by myself. Then that ripples into all the other things that come with that. That is something that has calmed down for me quite a bit over the last few years. So I have to be very intentional about allowing myself to like not go into that train of thinking, because it can completely just derail you from your day emotionally. So when you see me, that was a moment of me processing. Like, I am just, can we cuss on here?
Yeah, you can cuss on here.
Like, I am just extremely tired of doing these things on my own. This is what it would look like if he was involved. This is what it would look like if he was as hands-on as me. Like, going into all those fairy tale ideas about what things are supposed to look like. This is the idea that I created for myself prior to us actually separating.
And I think that idea, we can maybe even say it starts before we met that person.
Absolutely.
Like as a child. And I think the thing that caught me, I think I was doing my makeup and I'm like, I had to put my mascara down. Like, wait, she just verbalized. You were specifically talking about the difference in grieving the loss of even just the idea of the family dynamic versus the person.
I'm trying to connect it to what you said about it starting as a kid. I will say that there was a parent that I grew up around that would often say, you broke up the family. I heard that at a very young age. My parents were divorced when I was 4 years old, from what I know. And after that, they made the co-parenting dynamic work, as far as I understood at the age, right? Like, I could see my dad whenever I wanted to, but I lived primarily with my mother. My mother showed up to any and everything. She was there at everything. No disrespect to my father, but he was the person who handled things financially. Looking back, that was not my source of emotional support. And that alone is a big responsibility for a parent to carry. So I knew after I had my daughter, it actually started to show up in the way I dated. It, like, the importance and value of this family thing. Like I said to you, I've been a parent since I was a kid, in my opinion. I got pregnant at 19. I got pregnant at 20, and then I had my baby at 21. So at that time, I was still a kid. And I knew at that point, I needed to make sure I didn't break up the family.
Yeah.
Okay, by all means necessary. So I tried everything. I did everything at the time for my age level, for my maturity level, right? I did all the things that I could, and I maintained that relationship for as long as I could. But I even stayed in that too long, truth be told. And it finally ended. But everything after that, my relationships, I didn't realize that I took every relationship extremely serious, because it was always my goal to make sure I established a family for my daughter.
I can relate to that.
Does that make sense?
I can. And my parents divorced a lot older. I was in high school. Mm-hmm. And so for me, I when I was trying to, like you said, to do everything to keep my family dynamic together, because you can see it falling apart, and
Feel it.
you feel it falling apart. And I didn't want to accept the reality that that might have been coming. But I also remember a lot of times being like, would I have want my parents to have stayed together? And I always said no. My mom became a better woman after the separation.
Ooh,
She became someone, like when I say my mom is my role model, it wasn't my
I
mom
know.
in the marriage. It was my mom post.
That's
like,
so powerful.
It's like it's the divorced mom. It was the most badass woman I've ever met. And so I think back and I'm like, I wouldn't want my parents to have stayed together. And so I've anytime I go through my grief where I'm like, I wish I would have done this for my daughter, then I think maybe one day when my daughter's older, I'll be able to ask her and say like, would you have even wanted me to fight through that? Because
I love
the
those
mom you know
conversations.
now and the things she admires about me now, I don't think would have ever came to be
Girl,
in that.
absolutely. I can talk about a million things, so many things. And I think that is so powerful that your mom serves as her most powerful version outside of that marriage, outside of that idea that we dream of as little girls forever, right? Having a family, having a husband, like, wow, wow. And I don't know how my daughter sees me now. We have a lot of open conversations about relationships, even me dating, but I'm curious about that as well. Like wondering if my daughter would have preferred me to stay in that relationship with her father rather than taking a step back because it was just necessary. And I remember my mom. My mom had, before she passed away, shout out to my mom, she passed away actually a year after I had my daughter. So I also did not get her wisdom, all the wisdom that I know she would have provided me as a mom. But I remember sitting at the edge of her bed after I had my daughter, and she just looked at me and she was like, "Baby, do you think you ugly?" And I was like, "No." And I'm immediately started to cry because I'm like, what is going on?
Yeah.
And she was like, "Do you think you have to be with the man you have children with?" I was like, "Oh, I don't know. I'm not sure." She said, "You don't."
That's what she said to
That's
you?
what she said to me. She said, "That man in the living room, he don't love you like you love him."
Stop. I got chills.
Girl,
Your mom at that moment was giving you permission
to leave.
to leave and empowering you that
She empowered me for sure.
Right.
But I kept that in the back of my mind and I started to really take note and I started to pay attention. And I started to pay attention to how I was left to feel.
I think we as women, that's the last thing we do is pay attention to how we feel. We cover up with
Self-sacrificial. We're just ready to sacrifice everything to make sure we can establish that family, not only for our children, but for ourselves too. I think that I grieved a lot of what I believed the support would have looked like.
So tell me that. Did you have a moment where you realized I am grieving the idea, the dream, and it's not the person?
Absolutely. And it wasn't until my son's father, because having two baby fathers it comes with its perks. It has actually given me the ability to grieve, to really reflect differently because they're two different men, right? And they're two different personalities and they navigate parenting differently. So there was a moment, and it was after my son's father because we were engaged. So in my mind, this was it. And like I told you earlier, when I pour myself into a relationship, I'm there wholeheartedly. We're going in. Like, this is going to be family. This is it. So after my son's father and I separated, I felt like your friend felt. I felt free. I felt light, but I was definitely upset. Definitely upset. But I had to sit with myself intentionally. Like, why am I so upset? But also my friends asking me questions like, do you still want to be with him? Or the response from my family was very eye-opening for me, which we could probably get into. But that response also started that reflection process for me because I was getting pissed off. Like, no, I don't want him.
Yeah.
That's not what I want. And I couldn't put to words what the hell I was angry about. And it was like, I miss my family. I miss what we were creating or what I thought we were creating. I miss what we were doing. I miss the idea of us being able to show up as a family to your stepdaughter's events or our son's events. That's what I miss. That's what I'm grieving because the mind is powerful. And if you sit quiet enough and you sit long enough, you can create things and your body doesn't know the difference. Like your subconscious doesn't know the difference between your lived reality. So I've been creating all kinds of visions in my mind. And I grieved from that. My heart broke. Like those things were actually present. Granted, there were beautiful moments, right? That I had to grieve from and see that I would never have again with that person. But those two things are separate. I grieved him and I grieved our family.
Yeah.
Same with my daughter's father. I did it later though with him, but it just looked different.
I can agree. I can relate so much to what you're saying, having the anger. And I experience it a lot of the times when I'm like leaving a family party and I got my kids into the car by myself and we're driving home at night by myself. And then I'm driving home thinking, I got to get them off the car and I got to shower them. Like I start to feel this heaviness in my heart.
Unfair.
And I even felt that, and I've never even said this out loud, I even felt that at church. And I stepped away for a while, or just started missing more church because I felt this heaviness after leaving church and all these images of families, you know?
Wow.
And I think that's the moment I realized I'm not grieving the person, because I remember my mom saying, if God opened up the sky and said, what do you want? I still would not wish for the person.
Right.
So that's when I knew it's not that then, but it's like you said, it's the idea. I also, and this is a question for you. What was the identity you lost? Because you were engaged. So that means you dreamed of the wife role that was real in your head, right? And of the marriage and of the dress.
I was delusional.
Did you? Well, but
Look,
you. Hold
on. No, but I did lose. Right?
Isn't there an identity shift?
It did change me.
Do you still believe in marriage and the role of a wife?
Hell yeah. I don't know about traditionally, like within our system, but I definitely believe divine unions, life partners. Absolutely. It ain't never changed that. I've always said that to myself. I'll never let any of my relationships change the woman that I truly am. I'm a loving woman. I'm a lover girl. I love love. So I don't know if I felt empowered. After him and I separated, specifically him, I felt empowered. But I felt empowered after both of them, but his was different. And it could have been because I was graduating college. I was stepping into my career. So I had all of these other things kind of that I could stand on, that I could feel empowered about. It did change me, but maybe I just don't know. But yeah.
But you dated after and believed... You're like, oh yeah, but you believe in you said you believe in love. You're a lover girl and all of that. And I love that you kept that. I feel like I really lost that part of myself. I feel like I don't even see myself getting married anymore. Like and I don't want to give power to the person. Again, it's not the person that took those dreams away from me, but I think that I shedded completely the person that I was in that era of my life. And along with that went a lot of my thoughts about like relationship and marriage. And sometimes I even grieve that. When I'm grieving the things I lost, I'm like, dang, I miss when I used to see myself walking down the aisle. I can't picture that anymore.
It's a huge loss. It's a huge loss. Like one that you will do many things to protect yourself from again. And sometimes that's locking yourself out of these visuals of these things you totally deserve.
I do think that women that are, especially for women that are just entering, like they just separated, maybe they're just entering this journey of single motherhood, it can be so confusing because you just feel sadness and you feel pain, but you don't always know why.
Where it's coming from.
Even anger, because I always say I felt anger, but a lot of the anger was at myself,
yourself, yeah, and
as
that's
well.
Secondary. Anger is a secondary emotion.
I've heard that from my therapist. So the primary is what? It's
sadness. There are a whole bunch of primary emotions, but anger is usually one of those secondary
that's
emotions.
tied to one of them.
That's tied to one of the real ones, which is like my son. He's very impulsive. So oftentimes when he's like, "I'm just mad," or "Are you?" Well, I'm embarrassed. Well,
or sad, I guess. Yeah.
And that is just reflective of a lack of emotional regulation. And I think as a society, we are all struggling with that. We don't know how to process emotion, to express it when it's coming out. So a lot of us, it's easy to get mad. It's hecka easy to get mad. It just seems like the most accessible emotion right there. But I think we have to do the work of, okay, I'm mad, but why? I think I'm fresh in my grieving, in a new era of grief. Because that's something I was thinking about before I came here too, is like the grief doesn't stop.
Yeah, no.
Like,
At least not for the family part
not
of it.
for it will. Okay, it does eventually, right? Because we're gonna be married women one day, and we'll never think about those things again. I'm telling you, it'll go away a bit differently. But what I mean is, a part of that grief that I was having, right? For instance, your son does jujitsu when he's with dad, but you've never seen it.
I get what you mean.
Oh my God. That's heart-wrenching because I am a very involved parent, right? I want to see everything. Or daughter has a new sibling. I don't get to see her be a big sister.
Even when they come home with clothes I didn't buy,
girl,
why does that trigger me? I forget that they have this whole other life.
Whole other life. Yes. And it may be, I know that that used to be a bit triggering for me, but it was more like, and that might be my trigger face, right? But like, I think that is not being able to be a part of every part of your child's development. Like, that is so special to me.
Yeah.
I know it's special to a lot of mothers that we're a part of all of that. I didn't know you wore a Nike backpack on Monday and Tuesday.
I know.
Oh my god.
The details matter.
Like, they matter. I didn't know that you were teaching your little brother how to pee. Oh my God, how mature.
Yeah.
How fun, right? So, but also a lot of that comes from how I was raised. Regardless of whatever drama came up between my mother and father, my dad was always allowed to walk in my house. Always. Boyfriends, he even played chess with my mom's boyfriends. We all chilling. So I would say that I projected a bit of that as well after. I'm like, what is going on?
Right.
Like,
why doesn't it look like that?
Why we ain't chilling? Why we ain't having barbecues together?
Oh, girl, you got the complete opposite of the
complete opposite. And that's been a part of my grief too.
I can
God,
see that.
what did I do?
Yeah, I
never
can
asked
see
God what he did. But you know what I'm saying? But like, literally, like, because I grew up in that, I'm trying to also remind, like, hey, you realize we can be cool.
Yeah, that
like, we don't have to hate each
so
other.
much, I guess, in those moments where you feel probably
I'm
so frustrated.
Me and your wife should be best friends.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? Like, what? I'm that because I feel like I've done the work with the grieving, the relationship, which is why so many co-parents can't co-parent. Because there's too much emotional leakage from the previous relationship with your other parent.
Yeah.
Once you let that go, you can child-center things.
Well, I think you're doing a great job. I've never met your children, but I see your life a little bit on social media. I know for a fact that you are a safe emotional space for your children, without a doubt.
I definitely try to be.
And I can see your passion for helping people and understanding like human complexity and relationships and emotions and all of that. But I want to give you grace because through this journey, you're also going through your own
every day
journey as well.
I feel you on that. I don't know. I was going to ask you, when it comes to the content that you do want to share in the future, what's holding you back? Like, what feeling comes up for you when you think about posting content about where you are now in regards to parenting?
I think the fear that people wouldn't be able to tell the difference of what we're talking about. I think if I continue to talk about the strength and overcoming, and that people would still connect some of my hard days back to wanting the old relationship back. And I didn't want to deal with people that would think that, I guess. So I've just been really quiet and I haven't really been speaking. And I still have most of my vulnerable talks on like private messages with women, or in my conference, I share a lot about where I am in my journey.
That does make sense. In the case, if we're just playing around with it, in the case that they actually did say, oh my God, she's still hung up on her ex.
I guess I shouldn't care, because at the end of the day, I know, right, what's in my heart. And I guess there's no, like, I remember I've been telling my mom for years, I'm over it. And my mom would look at me and be like, you're not over it. It's in your face. And not that long ago, she was like, dang, girl, you're over it. Welcome to the other side.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
And that's what I wanted to feel like. That's what I wanted to feel like for the people that I'm working with, like, especially the moms and the dads. Because let's not isolate the fathers. Now, there are fathers grieving the fact that for some reason they believe they couldn't have their children as much as they wanted. Boy, please, go get your baby. Go get your baby just as much as they have them. And if you guys are both on the same accord about that, trust me, everything should be cool. You guys should both be able to be fully involved.
Yeah, but it just takes too much emotional maturity on both sides. And I think that's the thing. I want to believe both sides do get there, but maybe not at the same time.
It's like this all the time. I'm actually in the process of creating a therapeutic co-parenting group. So I'm designing it for individuals who are navigating high conflict interpersonal dynamics. And I'm creating the curriculum to focus on emotional intelligence, emotional awareness, and the processing of relational trauma to avoid emotional leakage into the co-parenting dynamic.
Are you working with both, or you're saying either or?
Man or woman.
Okay.
Yeah, it does not matter. Whoever is feeling like this group resonates with them, it's for both. And I would love to talk to more men because unfortunately, I've heard a lot more horror stories from men than women.
I believe it.
Right. Like I do
Someone
too.
told me yesterday, y'all are just as bad as we are. We sure
are. And I think we need to stop acting like we aren't.
Okay. Let us know how people can connect with you or for this group, or just, do you take clients right now?
Actually, my caseload is full right now.
Okay.
And I am in transition at this time. So I'm not taking therapy clients. But as far as that work goes with the co-parenting group, if you follow me on Saku Black Family Wellness, Saku BFW, I'm sure you'll put it inside the bio stuff. Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you follow me there, you will be provided with updates about the co-parenting group, when it's going to start, and yeah, just basically when I'm going to start marketing and stuff. But until then, I will still be posting content about, all the other things pertaining to overall wellness. And I do want to start being a bit more transparent about these dynamics. I also have a podcast where people can kind of listen in. That's called Black Parents Talk. And that's where we have more conversations that are focused on parenting. So I would say just follow me on my socials, keep up with me there, and I would definitely be sending out updates about this.
Awesome. Okay. So I always end it with either just some like mantras, or we do a prayer. What feels right for you right now? Should we just like some affirmations?
What feels right? You know what? Prayer is also always great.
And we got to go back to our kids, so we need to get grounded.
Prayer is always great.
All right. Do you want to lead the prayer, or do you want?
Look, I just got shy.
I can lead the prayer.
Yes, okay. I'm totally fine with that.
All right. Okay. Thank you, Lord. Thank you so much for this space. Thank you for the gift of connection. Thank you for my dear friend here with us today. I want to thank you for her vulnerability. I want to thank you for everything that has led us to create a sisterhood. And for anyone listening that is just starting this journey, God, we hope that today's words is just a reminder to them that they are not alone, that there is light that is coming to them tomorrow. And we ask for you to continue to empower us through our experiences so that we can continue to connect and touch other people. May you empower Kalisha in her journey, and she is walking in her God-given strengths and her purpose. That is without a doubt. But continue to just give her the power and the strength and all that she needs to show up every day as a woman, as a mother, and as a professional, and as a servant of you, God. Amen.
Amen. Ashe. Amen.
That was beautiful. I'm so happy. You're going to have to come back, and we're going to have